What's up, guys? We're doing problems 17 through 20. Let's get right into it. All right, so whenever you come across these problems on the GRE, there's always going to be this one section where there's like, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5 questions that are all based off of the same figures. All right, in this case, we have this first figure here and the second figure right here. Now, the thing about these problems is that they're typically the hardest, and not necessarily because they're difficult, but because they're confusing. So my first tip is just go ahead and read through the figures and make sure you understand what they're actually saying, okay? So this first one right here, we have gasoline tax revenue as a percent of total retail gasoline sales in 2000. And down here we have total retail sales include tax, okay? All right, guys, so what this means is that this first graph is saying out of all the money that you make from gas, we want the percentage of that money that only comes from taxes, okay? So it's kind of weird, but how you would write that is you would say percentage total from gas tax. That's going to be equal to the tax money, or the tax dollar, divided by the tax dollars, plus the general cost, right? Just the general cost for the gas. All right, so that's what we can get. That's what we can get from this first figure here. Now, the second figure is pretty straightforward. It's basically Germany's total tax revenue in the year 2000. Okay, so let's say if they made like $100. Now, obviously they're going to make a lot more, but just to pick a clean number, if they made $100 for the first year, then this would be the percentage of the $100 from these various sources. Okay. All right. So let's go to the first question. So the first question is pretty straightforward. It says, what is the median of the percent values representing gasoline tax revenue as a percent of total retail gasoline sales for the 9 countries listed in the bar graph? Okay. So remember, median is just quite literally that middle point for the data points. Okay. So once you go through max, min, max, min, max, min, and you get to that middle point, that will be your median. Okay. So let's go ahead and start. So I'm going to cross out the maximum value, and I'm going to cross out the minimum value. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the next maximum value and cross it out, and then I'm going to go to the next minimum value. Okay. So we're just going to keep repeating this process. I'm going to go max, minimum, maximum, minimum, until I get to this value right here, 67.6. All right, guys, so that's our answer for 17. Now let's go to the next one. Okay, for the following question, select all the answer choices that apply. And our question is, based on the information given, which of the following statements must be true? Indicate all such statements. All right, so for A, we have in 2000, France's gasoline tax revenue as a percent of its total tax revenue was greater than 20.4%. All right, guys, so there's just a big glaring issue with this statement, okay? In 2000, France's gasoline tax revenue as a percent of its total tax revenue was greater. So guys, this is not total tax revenue. This is total retail gasoline sales, right? So this one cannot be correct, okay? This basically confuses this graph with this one, okay? So we only know that for Germany. Okay, we have in 2000, the price per gallon of gasoline was greater in Norway than it was in Spain. Again, guys, this graph does not tell us price per gallon. It only tells us the percentage of the total gas revenue that it comes from taxes. So the taxes could be totally different. So this we don't have enough information for that one. All right, guys, that leaves us with C. Now, since the first two are out, we know it has to be C, but let's just go ahead and double check it real quick. In 2000, Germany's gasoline tax revenue was more than 3 times its tobacco tax revenue. So what we can do here is we have our gasoline tax revenue and then our tobacco tax, and 5.6, when you multiply it by 3, it's like approximately 17. So 20.4 is greater than 17. So therefore, this checks out, okay? All right, let's go to our next question here, number 19. In the year 2000, the amount of Germany's gasoline tax revenue was approximately what percent less than the amount of its income tax revenue? All right, so let's see here. So here's our income tax percentage of the revenue, and then and then here's our gasoline tax. Okay, so we're just going to pick a number, right? We don't know what the total revenue is, but let's just say it's $100. Okay, because we can pick any number here because these are percentages. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, what is 28.6% of 100? And it's just 28.6. Okay, that's why I chose 100, because it's a nice clean number, right? So this is for income tax. And then we're going to have $20.4 for the gasoline tax. Okay, and we want what percent less than the amount of its income tax, or sorry, we want to know how much percent less the gasoline tax revenue is compared to the income tax revenue. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take 28.6, which is basically just 30, so I'm just going to round it to 30. Then I'm going to subtract off our $20.4, and sorry, we'll just call that 20. So we have this difference here, right? And then what I'm going to do is it's saying out of this revenue, right? What percent less is it than the income tax? So the denominator is going to be the income tax here, which we can just approximate as 30, right? So what this is going to equal is going to be $10 over $30. All right, guys, and then this is the same thing as 1/3, right? Now we know that 1/3 is, that equals 0.333, repeating, right? So that's just basically approximately 30%, okay? So our answer choice is going to be C. All right, now for this last problem here, it says if Germany's total tax revenue in 2000 was approximately $170 billion, approximately what was the amount of the total retail gasoline sales in Germany that year, okay? So again, remember for this figure, we already deduced that that the number here, right, so the percentage is equal to the tax money, or tax dollars, divided by the tax dollars, plus the general gas dollars, right? So there's all that. And then let's see here, what was the amount of the total retail gasoline sales in Germany that year? Okay, so we want total retail gasoline sales, okay? In other words, we want this denominator value, okay? So what I'll do is I'll just say, and again, we want this for Germany. So in 2000, it was 70.7%, right? So, and again, remember percentage, you have to multiply by 100%. Okay, so let's go up here. I'm going to say 70.7% equals the tax dollar. So we don't know what that is yet, right? And then let's see here, what do we have here? And then this is the total retail sales times 100%. Okay. All right. So now that we have this, we need to figure out what this is, right? Now we don't know what that is, right? We don't know what the total tax dollars are. So now we're going to have to use this figure right here, okay? So what is the amount, going back, they tell us that the total tax revenue was $170 billion, okay? Now this figure tells us the percent of the total, right? So if we're looking for the gasoline tax, we're going to need to use 20.4%. So I'm going to take 170, and it's billion, but we'll just say 170 for now. And I'm going to multiply that by 0.204 because that is 20.4% in decimal form. All right, and this is going to give me a value. So let me just go ahead and use my calculator real quick. So 170 times 0.204. All right, guys, that's going to be 34.68 billion. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, and sorry, it's getting a little messy, but I'm going to take this value and I'm going to plug it into here. Okay. So real quick, let's just get rid of this 100%. So divide both sides by 100, and then divide both sides by 100. All right, and let me go ahead and erase this here so that we get a little bit more space. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this value right here, right? Simplify it down. So it's going to be 0.707. That's going to equal $34.68 billion. And now I need the total retail sales. So total. So I'm going to cross multiply here, and it's going to be the total equals 34.68 divided by 0.707. Okay. So here, let me just go ahead and clear some more space. All right, guys, so with your calculator, let's go ahead and calculate that out. So 34.68 divided by 0.707, and it's going to be $49 billion. 49 billion. Okay. All right, guys, so that is our answer, and it's going to be closest to 50 billion. So E is our answer, okay? All right, guys, so I know those problems that kind of took a little bit longer because I had to do multiple at once. And it's a little bit confusing because you have lots of word problems, you have graphs you have to analyze. But if you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.